Hey guys, today I want to talk about a concept, and it's one that you may have never heard of before. And in fact, it's one that if you Google it, you may never hear about it. And it's because essentially this concept was created by a dude in my Discord. And the idea may not be completely unique, but the way that he's implemented it is just interesting. So he goes by the handle of Squirtle in game, and his name's Matt. And a lot of people have been saying Matt is a lot of fun to play with in game. He's a great guy, everything. And I've been hearing it for a while, and I've already kind of known him a little bit. I played with him a couple times, and he's just a nice dude. But he ended up telling me about why he does what he does, why he always comments on every time anyone does anything good. Like we just saw him say, "Thanks for covering Soak," "Thanks for this," and like we see him throughout most of his games. Every time anyone does anything good, he always says something. And if we have something that we struggle on, he'll always say, "No worries, we got this." And I thought it was pretty awesome. Like I try to do that in a lot of my games. I try to be really positive, and there's times that I'm even sitting there going like, "Oh man, like I feel like I'm just being patronizing." But the way that he does it never feels patronizing. And I think that's the goal to this is it's a skill that you actually work on of being nice in games. So he messaged me the other day, and he was kind of saying why he does this. So I'll get into this in a second. I just want to read off this thing that he said, and he said, "But I noticed as I continued doing it that I was less upset or salty, and I just felt good. Like I wasn't upset after a loss, and it was nice for them, but it made me feel better." And it brought up a few kind of interesting ideas, and I'll talk about a lot of these concepts in a second. But it's kind of awesome just as we go through this. I'm just going to fast forward, and I'll show you. Let's go times 8. And you can see how after just about every little fight, he's like, "Hey, it's okay," or "That was solid," or "That was great," "Nice call, thank you." Like all of these things, just followed a ping. Like all of these things that anyone does, all good. We can get it. Headed bot. He's communicating, and he's always keeping everything active, and he's always keeping a great attitude in the room. So it's awesome. And at the end of the game, he always picks out, he calls it like the MVP. He picks out one person to call out and say something amazing, whether they won or lost, and be like, "Hey, you know what? It was rough, but I loved those whatever." Like in this case, I remember at the end of it, he called out Falstad, and he said, he's like, your Hinterlands blasts were amazing. Like they were on point. And it was just cool to see. So I told him, I'm like, "Have you ever heard of PERMA?" And he's like, "No." And I said, "Have you ever heard about the smile studies?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "All right, so you came up with this all by yourself of just helping people because it made you feel better." And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right, I got to do a video on this." So I decided I was going to do a video on this, and it's mainly because what he came up with just to do on his own of just be nice to people and it makes him feel better. There are actual concepts on this. To start off, I want to explain a little bit one on, it's called mood migration. And mood migration is essentially the idea of if you smile, you're going to be happier. Now, the way that this smile and be happier happens is on a 2-point thing. The first point is essentially if you see someone smiling, it's in our instinct to be happier. Because someone's smiling, you assume that they're happy about something, so you should be happy about something. It's a tribal knowledge, tribal instinct, because if someone's smiling in your tribe, that means that most likely your entire tribe is going to be better off for something because they're happy. It means that they did something or something happened that they are happy about, which means that your entire tribe will likely be happy. So there's a natural instinct of seeing someone smiling or seeing someone happy that makes yourself happy. Well, they found that if you smile, it makes other people happy, and then they're happy and they're nicer to you, which means that you are effectively even more happy. That's point one. Point two is because naturally everyone's happier to you whenever you're happy, it creates an extra happiness of just smiling purely off of conditioning. So because of those 2 points, we've seen a variety of studies on this, that just being happy makes you even more happy. So just the act of trying to be happier will make you happier. And it's based off those 2 principles, which is just really interesting things. But that's all awesome. And I wanted to kind of share this study in particular, but I also wanted to go into a dude named Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman is considered the father of positive psychology. Positive psychology is a newer model of psychology that if you learned about psychology even 10 years ago, it probably wasn't in your books at all. Despite the fact that he came up with this well over 20 to 30 years ago. It's just that people were so harsh on it before until he started doing a lot of studies and people were doing peer reviews and realized that at the end of the day, all of this actually worked. And they found that one of his ideas called PERMA was as powerful as Prozac. Now, his idea called PERMA, we're going to talk about just a little bit, but really just on the single first letter of it, which is the P. And PERMA is essentially positive emotion, engagement, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. If you can work on all 5 of these things, it again, people have considered it as powerful or more powerful than Prozac. And that's kind of a more of a clickbaity way of explaining it. Essentially what happened is we found that if you work on PERMA, there is a 48% chance of you being able to work out your own depression and live a happier life. With Prozac, that's a 40%. And that's essentially, so it's more effective. It's statistically more effective than Prozac, but it's not essentially more powerful than Prozac. It's just statistically more effective. However, putting all that aside, the treatments and everything else aside, this is what I wanted to talk about, is essentially positive emotion. And he found the first step, the first letter, the first thing that you need to do to live a happier life is to change your idea, to be more optimistic, to view the past, the present, and the future in a positive perspective. Meaning, even if you're having a rough game, look for the positive in every game. If you look for the positive in every game, then every loss you're going to be less salty, you're going to be less mad because you saw the positive in that game and realized, yeah, we had a couple bad fights, but at the end of the day, everyone was pretty cool about it. We still had some good plays, we still had fun, and guess what? I still learned something. And that's what I liked about Matt was we were actually down a lot in the beginning of that game. We lost 3 Dragon Knights in a row. And he was just having fun the entire time. He was having a blast. And it was cool because then at the end of the day, I was having fun. I had a really busy day that day, and I was already out. I was done for the day. So when I played this one game, I just wanted to get one game done. I went into it with a bad attitude, but by the end, like even in the times we were losing, I was having fun. It's because this dude was so happy, so like he was having fun the whole time that it made everyone. We had one person who was like salty for a little bit, and then like after we lost the next DK, even this person was like, "Hey, it's okay, we're good to go." It's like how fast one person can change the mentality of everyone. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to call it the Matt mentality because it was his mentality that got everyone happy. And it's something that, yes, it's been around for a while. There's been studies done on it. There's been an entire concept based on it. But we haven't seen a lot of this in Heroes of the Storm. So what I wanted to do is I wanted us to be like Matt or like Chris Traeger, where I don't know if you guys have ever seen Chris Traeger. But Chris Traeger, he's in this show, Parks and Rec, and he's like super, I don't even know. Let me see if I can, is this even recording? It's not. I won't worry about it. But yeah, if you don't know Chris Traeger, he's this like uber positive person. You don't need to be like Chris Traeger and be like absolutely uber positive about everything, and you don't need to be patronizing. Don't be the point where it's like you're like babying them. But if you see a good play, call it out, guys. Like we see people call out every mistake, and it just gets to the point where no one feels actually rewarded for doing anything, and yet they always feel punished for doing something. So let's shift this around. Let's take a Chris Traeger. Let's take a Matt mentality, whatever you want to call it. Let's do that in the future. Let's start taking a very positive approach at every game we go into, positive approach about everything, and start just pushing forward for just a happier community. Like it changed. I joined one game and my entire mentality was changed based off of a guy who was just trying to be less salty at the end of his games. So let's all take an approach where we start commenting on people's good behavior. I mean, they do something good, let's comment on it. It's going to make all of HOTS a less toxic place. It's going to make all of HOTS a better place to be. If this video hits 10,000 views, I know those 10,000 people can make a huge difference in the community that we have, because it only takes one person per game to make a huge difference. It's really what I wanted to get at. I didn't really want this video to be as long as it is, but at the end of the day, I think it was really I think it was necessary. I think HOTS really needs this. So thank you so much for checking out this video. I know it's different from a lot of the other ones that I've done. It's a lot of psychology, but I think that it's definitely going to help out. And to Matt, dude, you're awesome. Everyone in the Discord's been saying it, and I haven't played too many games with you, but I could definitely see why it's awesome, and I'm glad it helps out. So you mentioned to me that it helped out, it was awesome, and hopefully I explained a little bit of the science of it for you, because there is a lot of studies about this particular topic, and it is a pretty interesting one. So thank you again for bringing this to my attention. I appreciate it, and Matt, like, everyone, give some props to Matt. This guy has been going around, win or lose, he's trying to keep a positive attitude about everything, and he's doing it. And so everyone, give him a round of applause, and try to take the Matt mentality in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I've got psychology-related videos, I've got HOTS ones, and I will be doing a variety of other gaming style videos in the future, but it probably won't be for about a couple weeks. So yeah, feel free to check out some of the other ones. Thank you again.